to Crash Cars, guys. Here we are today with the 570S Spider. It is insane. I mean, check it out. This blood red car is one of the fastest daily drivers out there today. With a 0 to 60 of 3.2 seconds, it just blows the mind when you put the pedal to the metal. And they made it even cooler. They put a drop top on it. That's just what? McLaren, they boggle the mind with every single car they launch, from the P1 to this, the 570, to the new 720. They designed it off of the 570S body, and all they did was they added a drop top, convertible roof. What they did is they created a cavity right behind the driver's seats for it to fold in, and it only added 101 pounds, only 101 pounds to the overall curb weight. And that curb weight is 3,100 pounds. That's ridiculously light. From the carbon fiber tub that it has to the light aluminum skin, this thing just floats through the air. And that was one of the key components when McLaren designed the 570. They wanted it to be an aerodynamic marvel. And that includes the teardrop of the cabin. And when I say that, the cabin is shaped like a teardrop. And for daily drivability, that kind of helps. Strange for me to say that, but it helps. Why? Because that teardrop, it gives you a wider frame where you sit. So what does that mean? You get a bigger seat, you get a better, comfortable seat. And also, aside from that, the 570 has one of the biggest trunks on the market for a sports car. And well, I fit in it, and it's huge. Anyway, this little puppy has a V8 that is shared from the 650S and the McLaren P1. Now, in this version of it, it produces 584 horsepower and 442 foot-pounds of torque. That's a lot of power for a car that weighs only 3,100 pounds. Now, to talk about the body and the styling a little more, McLaren, what they did is they just made it as aerodynamic as possible with incredible styling. From the carbon fiber front splitters to the edgy slash rounded hood, coming back now to the full carbon fiber mirrors, beautiful. And then their doors, it's a dihedral door. And that's standard for all McLarens. Now, this door, it makes it super easy to get in and out of the car. It's just wonderful. It looks insane. And I mean, every rich person's gotta have a car that has the doors go up like that. Because, I mean, if you don't, then you're not cool in that kind of world. Anyway, we talked about the outside, talked about the aerodynamics, and let me give you a little past history on McLaren. McLaren, they were an F1 dominator from the start. They won many, many, many races. They won many, many Grand Prix in Monaco, and they just dominated. Now, today, it shows through in their cars and that heritage also, because McLaren is more of a sleeper per se in their heritage. When you think about a supercar or sports car, you think Ferrari or Lamborghini, but McLaren was right there with them. And nowadays, they're coming out of the shadows because they produce cars like this and like the P1 and like the 720, and they rock people's worlds. And that's what they did back in the day. And funny, but that kind of brings and pulls in heritage. So, you know what? Anyway, let me show you what I mean by heritage and what started it all. The McLaren engine. Let's check that out, come on. So, kind of feel like should be an April Fool's kind of thing, but it's not April, so whatever. But here we are at the back, and the tricky part is McLaren doesn't let you open this because they don't want you messing with it. It's kind of like the BMW i8. You just cannot open it. But anyway, let's talk about the rear of the car and some of the styling back here. Now, as you can see, you got just a beautiful back end, and down here, you got just absolutely killer styling. From stolen rear taillights from the P1, you got those beautiful, beautiful blacked out exhaust tips, and just an absolutely killer rear diffuser. From the absolutely aerodynamically perfected exterior with killer lines and just a head turning, neck snapping look. It's also got a beautiful interior. Now what? Let's check that out. Check this out, you guys. Insane, right? Just watching that door close. I mean, dang. Look at this interior from Alcantara on the A-pillars and even on the drop top convertible roof. That's insane. And a full Alcantara steering wheel with matte carbon accents and carbon fiber paddle shifters. McLaren has just sportied the crap out of this, but at the same time, as you look around, they've also done a great job as in making it a daily driver. I mean, you got an awesome infotainment system, one of the best McLaren's ever made, an insane sound system, even a little glove box right here. That's daily drivability. I mean, dang. Now, here's something interesting. They actually have, instead of like Ferrari, how they have one notch selector for your sport, wet, and tracking modes and all that, they have two. They have one for how it handles, and then one for the suspension. And when I say how it handles, I mean performance-wise and all that fun stuff. And then they have one for the suspension, which is the suspension. And it's just awesome how they can just convert into two different ones. I don't know how they do it, but McLaren does it in all their insane genius. It's awesome. But, I mean, it is a fairly simple interior, so there's not much to talk about in here. But I'm going to let the car talk for itself in a second. Let's take this thing on a test drive. But first, in typical Crash Cars fashion, we got to get a startup going. So, let's start this thing up. So, that was a heck of a startup. Anyway, now let me show you the sportiness and the daily drivability of the 570S Spider. Let's hit the road. Opening it up now, it's sporty, I guess you could say. McLaren shines through. From the P1 to this 570, it's just insane. You got so much power in such a light car. It just scoots, I guess you could say. But when you want to put this puppy out on the track or in sport mode on the road, you still got that. Whoever wants to chill out in something that's bright red, got Alcantara and a carbon fiber tub, and has horsepower over 540 horsepower. See what I mean? I mean, it's just too easy. It's just too much fun. So, a little thing about the different modes. Comfort, it gears it up like 3 gears, so it's dead when you push the pedal. Sport, it's more sporty.
You're over the speed limit.
Thank you. I didn't need to know that anymore. But, and then track, I lost my train of thought. And then track, it just opens it all up. You instantly redline You shift all on your own. It's all sport mode. It's absolutely awesome. There's no reason not to drive it in track. None whatsoever. It started raining on us. But guess what? The daily drivability allows us to, because the suspension can handle wet roads. And the roof's actually not leaking. But I don't want to ruin this car or any of the paint and make it unpretty. So we're gonna go back. All right, guys, so here we are now, parked back in the dealership parking spot. Sad to stop reviewing, because I mean, this thing is awesome. From the absolutely insane performance in the 570S, from the absolute wonderful daily drivability with your comfortable squishy seats, a rear view backup camera, a front nose lift, and a massive trunk. McLaren has outdone themselves with this 570. I mean, dang. I wish I could review some more. But thunderstorms are rolling in. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today. I had a blast. And go subscribe at Crash Cars. You know, the big red button at the bottom. Go hit that like button. Go check out my Instagram, my Facebook, and my website. My Instagram, my Facebook, and my website are in the links below. Thank y'all so much for watching. Crash Cars out. A huge thanks to Motor Cars of Georgia for letting me review this 570S Spider.